come to Miami, obviously we have great weather. You're going to practice and play on grass, which is actually very important to players from a health and safety standpoint. We have no state income tax, which you don't have in Texas, but some of those Northeast states do. That's a material difference. You're from this part of the country, so you can get friends and family down to the games a lot easier. You have an owner in Steve Ross who's done a lot of things in the community. He started a foundation called Rise, which supports a lot of players in terms of social justice initiatives, and he has a great track record on that. And then, again, from a football standpoint, you have a really good defense. Dan touched on it. This offense, there are some pieces there, but he could bring it to a whole nother level. So he really could be the missing piece for Miami, and he's a perfect fit for them.
Right, look, I think that's exactly right. And it does feel, when you take into account everything that we've just said, that the Dolphins, if they were to get Deshaun Watson, immediately vault to being one of the legitimate contenders right under Kansas City in the AFC. Okay, well, we'll do some more of these teams as we go. Meanwhile, we've been doing story time all week long because we have so many guys on our roster of analysts here who have played in all these Super Bowls. Rob Ninkovich is a two-time Super Bowl champion. He was on the field for that legendary play, Malcolm Butler's interception in Super Bowl 49, and he was on the Patriots when they came from 28-3 down to win Super Bowl 51. So as we ask you, Ninko, to recall your most vivid Super Bowl memory, it has to be from one of those two Super Bowls that you won, I would assume.
Actually, no. It was the Super Bowl loss, 2011, when we lost to the Giants. And I'm surprised I remember it because Brandon Jacobs basically chipped my head off early in that game. And I just remember back to a point in that game. I was on a knee. Offense had the ball. I think there was around 7 minutes left in the game, and we were up, and the offense was marching down the field. And I remember looking up at the clock and thinking to myself, man, we're going to do this thing. I'm going to be a Super Bowl champion. This was going to be my first championship, and I made the mistake of looking beyond the moment. And at that point, the offense stalled. They didn't score. We had to give the ball back, and then the rest is history. The Giants took the ball, Manningham with that crazy catch on the sideline, and then at the end of that series, as a defender, one play you never want to ever hear is let them score, because you know at that point you're trying to save as much time as you can to let the offense go to work, and we had to make that call. And Bradshaw almost, he was trying to stop, and then he went over the goal line there, and I mean, that memory right there is forever in my brain. And that really pushed me to get back to another one. And not everybody has that opportunity to get back to a Super Bowl. But I think at the end of the day, you remember the losses more than the wins. And yeah, the win, the Malcolm interception, that was great. That was awesome. But when you lose a Super Bowl, I'm telling you, there's not a worse feeling in the world to walk off a field and the other team is running on, celebrating their world champs, and you're seeing the confetti come down, and you're going home, and you have nothing to show for it except for an AFC championship ring, which really doesn't mean anything. I don't even know where that thing's at. I might have given that thing to my pops or something. You only think about winning that football game. When you lose it, it's forever in your brain.
It is remarkable, and practically every athlete I've ever talked to remembers the heartbreaking defeats more than they remember the victories. Herman Edwards has told me a million times he hates confetti to this day for the same reason you just described. He was on the Eagles. They lost a Super Bowl. Do you think it would have been different if you hadn't come back and won those? Again, you were on the field for the Malcolm Butler interception. You were on the team for the 28-3 comeback against Atlanta. How do you think it would be different if you would never come back and won Super Bowls?
I mean, look, I think about the Buffalo Bills and the four, they had the documentary on the losses that they had in the 90s. And I personally couldn't imagine. I could have easily been 0-3. You think about, those two wins that we had, Malcolm interception, there could have been a few different outcomes there. They run the football, they do something else and they score there. We basically lose that game. And then the comeback against the Falcons, if we didn't have that sack fumble by the guy behind me, Hightower, we wouldn't have been able to get back in that football game. And if they would have kicked the field goal, we lose. So I think back on that, and I'm grateful for us coming back in those games and winning those football games.
Making a move and trying to acquire Deshaun Watson. Baker Mayfield himself on his verified account quote tweeted that and responded, "Some of y'all Browns fans are funny." So given at least this much, he doesn't have a burner. He put his name on it. He put his blue check mark on it, and he responded. So let's come to the group here. There's so much in this I would like to unpack, but let's just start with Dan Orlovsky. I feel like it's an obvious question. Would the Browns be better off with Deshaun Watson than they are with Baker Mayfield?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I love Baker. I love Baker's pettiness on the screen. This is like Christmas Chronicles 2 versus Christmas Chronicles 1. 1 was really good, 2 was better. This is like Qdoba and Chipotle. Qdoba's good, Chipotle is better. Cheez-Its and Goldfish. Cheez-Its are good, Goldfish are just better. Baker Mayfield's good. Deshaun Watson's just better. This is an inarguable thing to talk about. I feel like the next hour, all I'm going to do is try to get people to understand how remarkable Deshaun Watson is. So while Baker had a really good year and he's taken steps forward in their organization, and I've had his back and I love him, Deshaun Watson's a better player. And so I love his pettiness, but Deshaun Watson would be an incredible upgrade for the Browns.
I think we all see that, right? And that's not an insult to anyone to say you're not as good as Deshaun Watson. He's one of the great quarterbacks, and to Dan's point, had one of the great seasons ever. Rob Ninkovich, do you love Baker Mayfield responding to that in the public way he did, or does it make you concerned? Which way do you go on Baker's public reaction?
It's a little bit of insecurity, and I'll tell you a funny thing in the locker room we used to do. If anyone messed up on the football field and they were being called out for it, they tried to explain themselves. We would all scream, "Response!" We would scream "response" because you were trying to explain why why this should be a different way and why I was doing it this way. And Baker is basically trying to say, like, hey, this isn't going to happen. Like, come on, you silly Browns fans. Like, I'm the guy. I'm Baker Mayfield. I'm the guy. I'm the Heisman guy on the commercials with Tim Tebow. That's me. So I just think that in that particular situation, Baker just needs to not say anything. He comes out and he responds to it, which I don't get why you respond to that. We know Deshaun is an incredible quarterback. And yes, does Deshaun make that team instantly better? Yes. So, you know, let's I know you have the chip on the shoulder and he's not above 6 foot, so he's got that complex. So let's just relax a little bit. Let's not respond to the people on the waves out there.
Graziano doesn't take any offense to that remark whatsoever. Dan, take us through this. I mean, as we consider the places that Deshaun could wind up, I haven't heard anyone say Cleveland. Is that something that we could see happening?
I don't think so. Look, they fall into this bucket of teams that, yes, would Deshaun Watson be an upgrade over what they have? Objectively, yes. But they're not looking for that, right? Cleveland has their guy. They like their guy. They just won 11. If I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm sitting here going, I just won 11 games with the Browns. Like, what do you guys want? Like, this is far beyond what you've come to expect. So why would you be looking to upgrade? And I think that's how a team like Cleveland sees this. Their plan is to go forward with the program they've put together, and you know, would they make a call and find out? Possibly, but I don't think that's a likely scenario. When you talk about what a team would have to give up, you'd be overhauling your whole program, not just your quarterback situation. And right now, Cleveland doesn't feel like they're in a position where they need to overhaul things to that extent.
It was actually 51 weeks ago today, Dan Orlovsky, that Baker Mayfield was sitting with us on the beach in Miami before the Super Bowl, and he was talking about his mentality and all the growth, and I think we've all given him credit. He's shown you all of it. He's done all of it. So I'm torn between loving the fact that he responded to this tweet and wanting to say, Baker, don't do that. It is in no one's best interest. Which way do you go?
I love it. Baker Mayfield has told us time and time again who Baker Mayfield is. He's not the player he is because he's not confident in himself. He's probably overly confident in himself. That's the only way that Baker's going to have success. So I have no issue. This isn't like him taking a shot at Deshaun Watson. This isn't him responding to somebody as a player that said something about Baker Mayfield. This is him just saying, like, Browns fans, I'm your quarterback. I've proven myself to be your quarterback. Whether you think Deshaun's better or not, I'm your guy. I told you I was your guy at the combine when I was coming out. I told you that I was the person to fix our organization. I've done that, and I'm the guy that is going to get us to the Super Bowl at some point. And so that's just Baker's mindset. It's who he is. I absolutely love that about him. I never will not.
Okay, I get it. And I see it the same way for the most part. Okay, anyway, we'll see. It doesn't seem like that's one of the real possibilities, but you never know. This probably does get settled in the next few weeks. Let's go on the clock. A bunch of other things we can get to here in rapid fashion. And Dan Orlovsky, I will start with you. Going to put 30 seconds on the clock. Is there a team out there who is right now Matthew Stafford away from being a Super Bowl contender? 30 seconds on the clock for your old teammate Dan Orlovsky. Go.
The San Francisco 49ers. I mean, if the San Francisco 49ers get Matthew Stafford, they all of a sudden vault to one of the, if not the top team in the NFC. They're going to get a lot of those pieces defensively back that were hurt this year. Kyle Shanahan has said 3 top 5 offenses with 3 different style of quarterbacks. None of them as talented as Matthew. An offensive line that needs to get a little bit better, but George Kittle, we know about those receivers, and a play caller that's fantastic. If the San Francisco 49ers get Matthew Stafford, they become one of these Super Bowl favorites because of the talent that he brings and the experience that he brings. So many teams would get better when it comes to Super Bowl odds with Matthew.
No question. I agree with that, and that's one of them. They could be a contender with a lot of different people. All right, the next question is for Rob Ninkovich. Ninko, can you envision a scenario, realistically, in which Aaron Rodgers this offseason forces his way out of Green Bay? 30 seconds. Go.
No, I don't see that happening. And I think everyone has to understand that his post-game comments that he made right after a huge loss come 10 to 15 minutes after one of the worst losses that he's had in a long time in the playoffs. He's thinking back on all the time that he has committed to this team, and he's upset. So he comes off the field, he sits down at his locker, he's taking his cleats off, he's getting himself ready to go. He's got reporters asking him questions. I think at that point he was upset and he said some things that he didn't mean. Then he thought about it, took a couple days, and kind of went back on what he was saying. I don't think he goes anywhere. He's going to be in Green Bay.
It would be interesting. We should be getting some word out of there this week about how the meetings that he had with upper management may have gone. Meanwhile, Graziano, let me come to you. Are we living in a world in which the Cowboys trading Dak Prescott is actually on the table? 30 seconds, Dan, go.
We are not, Greeny, but... There are things that happen that change the world sometimes, and it's possible that the next 5 or 6 weeks could change the Cowboys' perspective. Right now, they are adamant, as they have been all along, that they believe Dak Prescott is and will continue to be their quarterback. They want to sign him to a long-term deal. They have tried and failed each of the last 2 off seasons, but they think they can get it done this year. If they can,